When something is broken, it's cheaper to go and buy something new, and you can even have it delivered to your door the next day. It's a traditional way of thinking. I think it's fantastic to repair. When I find things that I can upcycle, or things I can repair and recycle, it brings me to my workshop, which is where I play. Upcycling, recycling has always been the core of StudioMama. Before I take anything else, I look in the waste bin. Is there something I can use? When we talk about waste, it has such a bad name. Waste of time, waste of money, waste of energy. It's something unwanted. We look upon waste as a resource that has to be treasured as some kind of opportunity. Using something that's already there and making unloved furniture loved again.
It's a bit more soft. It's actually a bit like what we did.
I started StudioMama with my husband, Jack Mama, in 2000. We do furniture design, product design, exhibition design, smaller architectural projects, and interior design. I didn't start actually design till I met Jack in 1997.
Our son Colin.
Hi Otto. I was probably kind of 30 when I started working as a designer, so I started my career quite late. It had interested me, but I just hadn't kind of maybe had the courage into saying I can actually be a designer. We have decades of waste around in the oceans, in landfills that we have to deal with. Waste is kind of cheap in a way because it has not been put into a stream of value, but it is a raw material that can be reinvented and reused and reprocessed in many ways. Maybe what is going to save the future, that we actually use all the resource that is out there. A circular economy, that's the only way forward. Yeah, of course you can. I mean, then you just have... When we started StudioMama, it was a bit uphill, talking to companies and finding a way to address these issues in real life. There was just not enough knowledge or insight or research. We would constantly sit and discuss, is it better to use this material or that material? There was no tools to calculate the carbon footprint on anything. The only thing we could do was trying to use waste and upcycle. We could go here to the workshop and just try and make up. We had made a group in London called 10. We had this idea of how can we address or how can we share our knowledge, because that was the problem we had. We didn't know enough about how do we actually implement the idea of sustainability in our practice. So we thought maybe if we make a group, we can share at least what we have figured out. We got a space in 100% design exhibition.
We decided to set up a brief which was 10 designers, 10-mile radius of where you live, make something that costs less than £10. Then Nina came home one day with a pallet and a crowbar and said, this is what we're going to do. I was a bit confused at the time, was like, okay. She took the pallets apart and then all we needed really was the screws and a bit of thought as to what we can do with these planks and blocks of wood.
Out of that came the pallet chair, and we made a pallet lamp, and we made other bits and pieces.
When we showed it at 100%, when people were interested to buy them, we actually thought, why don't we just sell the instructions online?
We had just people all over the world sending back photos of the results. We also had charities that asked if we use a pallet chair for charity projects. One was in the slums in Buenos Aires. They put up a workshop. They would get the pallets supplied from local businesses. They've got contacts for cafes that gave orders to the workshop, so they had work. So it's a way of generating income for people in the slums. After the pallet project, we were contacted by Bloomberg, and they had a project they called Waste Not Want It. They had invited some designers and artists to use their waste and make different installations in their headquarters in London. We were given a meeting room, and of course we were thinking, well, we're going to use pallets. We wanted to do something much more refined. We made these tables and 7 chairs and a parquet floor. It was just, look what we can do out of waste. We could create a whole meeting room that looked fantastic in a corporate financial institution.
Time for a new look? Rethink your small space with our hardcover book, Reimagining Small Space Living, and our essential guide to your living room. Now available as a bundle just for you. You're welcome. Available worldwide. Get it from our store.
Doing upcycling and recycling from the early days, it's not been a money maker, it's just because we love to do it.
Nina would fix and fix and fix something until it's got no more legs, and then we might have to find another sort of life for it as something else. But if it can be repaired, we'll repair it.
So partly skill, it's a choice, it's having time, it's finding pleasure of doing it. Your furniture or your whatever plates, whatever you repair, they gain a new narrative, a new story. You get much more attached to things. This is a cabinet that's made out of floorboards that we made for a showroom. We can open it, and there is the option of storage. So when you look at it from inside the store, there was extra space for showing objects from the inside. So it had that dual functionality. What frustrates me the most is that it's really always more expensive to do sustainable solution in terms of using recycled materials. There are all these fantastic new emerging materials that you really want to use, but they're more expensive than known materials, and they are not proven and tested like materials that's been on the market for the last 15 years.
Design as a profession, is a service. Obviously you want to please the client, and I think it was before done in quite an unthinking way. The question for designers is to ask the right questions. When you're doing a project, be critical about what you're doing, what's going to happen at the end of life. You need to challenge also maybe who you're working with, because actually maybe it's going to cost more money. So I think it's also being sort of courageous in a way to say, look, we should be doing this like this.
The Imagine chairs came out of an interior project we were doing. Wanted to do something that was special for the space, not some off-the-shelf piece of furniture. I went to a local kind of what I call the furniture graveyard. We had a really scruffy warehouse somewhere where they were selling old furniture. I came home with some chairs and said to Jack, we're going to do something with these chairs.
They're just really simple box section frames. The minute we stripped it back and we saw this really fantastic frame, we thought, oh my God, you can do so much with this.
I took the seats in the back off and tried to play around with the different shapes on the metal frame. Out of that came what was the start of the Reimagine range. They're playful and fun, and they're a bit exaggerated. A lot of our work is like that. Not intentionally, but it just comes out like that.
I think our gestures have really been quite small in a way, but they're nonetheless kind of surprising and sometimes joyful. There's a lot of critical design out there that's very serious. I think the way you deliver it, can also be in a fun and interesting way that can also engage people without judgment kind of thing. The waste from the pallet project was the inspiration for the animals. We had all of this kind of like strange planks and blocks of wood left over. We decided, why don't we just try to just play one day and see what comes. And,
I mean, this is some kind of, totally piece of rubbish. But then, of course, we thought, oh, this is really interesting, you know. Then all of a sudden you have all these like, oh, that's a tail and that's a leg and that's an eye looking at, you know. And so it just really playful. We were just having fun with it.
And they just seemed really popular with people. We did sell quite a few, and this was more than 10, 15 years ago. Even now, all this time later, when you talk to people, that quite often they'll go, oh, we love the animals, you know. It's the thing that's sort of one of the projects that sort of jumps out.
I guess that's what we'll do. The whole scene has changed from where we started StudioMama. We are not kind of walking around in the dark and not knowing what to do. We actually know exactly what to do. We know exactly what our carbon footprints are in what we create. We just need everyone to get in the same boat. We need the politicians, we need like rules, and we need the will to make these radical changes. We have more and more clients that are interested in materials or asking to make project circular. There's fantastic new composite materials, new textures, new colors. We can create whole new looks and sensibilities. In the Ottolenghi test kitchen, Durat, which is a finished composite material made out of recycled plastic, and it looks totally like terrazzo. As designers, that's just very fresh and very new. I see it more like a movement that we're all trying to inspire each other, whether it's within the design community sharing knowledge or whether it goes further out to inspire our customers, or whether it's having conversation with our kids or our friends, or it's like creating rings in the water. We can only just try and spread whatever we can around ourselves, our own little everyday life and work. It's a chain reaction. In our own little studio, we are part of the bigger picture. So this was quite fun.
Yeah, these